All right. Everyone, welcome. This is the time and place set for the Boise Ethics Commission meeting for January 8th, 2026. We do not have anyone appearing remotely. Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Church. Howarth.
Present.
Hurwitz.
Present.
Talk.
Present.
Zimmerman.
Present.
4 present, 1 absent.
Thank you. First order of business is a consideration of the minutes of our last meeting on September 11th. I think we had an email attachment go missing, so I'd propose that we table that and consider it in conjunction with the meeting minutes for this meeting at our next meeting.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Howarth.
Aye.
Hurwitz.
Aye.
Talk.
Aye.
Zimmerman.
Aye.
All in favor, motion carries.
Thank you. Looks like our next order of business, it appears we received at the close of 2025 a second request for advisory opinion for the year. Request for advisory opinion 25-02. I believe staff has some information to provide and kind of summarize the basis of the question before the commission. Staff, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, that's correct. There's a pending request for advisory opinion that's been submitted, 25-02. That has been raised by city employee Tilly Bubb, and I saw Tilly here. So Tilly's here to stand for questions and provide further context, but the general basis of the request is regarding service on an external policy board. Hopefully I'm describing that accurately. But other than that, I'll invite Tilly up to the mic to provide further context and stand for any questions from the commission.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, members of the commission. My name is Matilda Bubb, and I'm the cultural planner for the Department of Arts and History. The context of this, it's a board that's just been drawn together for a single research project. So it would be a temporary appointment for the extent of this research project. The research project is specifically to look at the music creative economy statewide and to look at possible policy options for municipalities for supporting and helping to develop the music economy. I have a PhD in public management and policy, and my specialty is creative economy. And I was specifically in my dissertation looking at policies related to creative economy. So this is in my area of expertise. As a staff person, the city of Boise has been looking for opportunities to develop research with Boise State University pursuant to creative economy areas. So this is an opportunity for it within the context of my role to help oversee the grant and provide input, but primarily to bring information back to the city of Boise for possible policy initiatives related to the music industry. I was working with Sean Keithley as our economic development director, who's recently left, to help look at possibilities for partnering with BSU on research initiatives. So my request is to participate. They did offer a stipend. I would waive that stipend or request that that stipend be given to the city. In the packet, I included my job description that has language that specifically identifies that part of my job is to look at policy development processes and to conduct research on cultural policy and programs and government practices in the support of cultural infrastructure. So I believe this is within my job duties. I don't have any potential personal conflicts of interest in that my personal practice is as a visual artist. I'm not in the music industry. And my interest in this is solely for benefit to the city of Boise. I included the email that Vanessa Fry, the director of the Policy Institute, submitted, as well as the description for the advisory board. This is projected to be a 2-year project, and my term would be for that 2 years. I'll answer any questions that you might have regarding my request. And I might also note that we have an interim director, Carrie Hall, and so because she was unfamiliar with some of the whether or not this would have a conflict of interest, she asked for this to come to the Ethics Commission because she's serving in an interim capacity and wanted to make sure that we had your input on that, the appropriateness of this request.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I just had one clarifying question.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So Ms. Bub, the result, as I think I understand from this work that you would be doing on this commission or committee, would just be to issue a report. Is that correct? Is there any other work product you would envision at this point?
Yeah, there's actually no specific work project that's requested of me.
Right.
My work would really be in an advisory capacity for the researchers who are on the grant. For my job, it would be to identify, they're collecting data, and the music industry really can't be isolated to a particular place. We have to look at it from a regional perspective. So for my job, I would commit to bringing back any information or policy recommendations that could be provided to our director, to economic development, to the mayor's office, or the city council for consideration. But there is no specific work product that is requested of me in my role, or it's more what I would want to bring back.
And if I may understand that about your role,
Mhm.
do you understand what the
Oh, sure.
commission will be producing at the end of its 2-year research project?
Yes, they would be creating a report. So that would be, so my name would be on it as someone who's on the advisory capacity. So they would be creating an extensive report. I will not be involved in writing that. I will most likely review that and provide input, but I will not be identified as an author. And that report will be, this is through the Policy Institute. The Policy Institute provides recommendations statewide on policies for consideration. So so my name with the cities association would be on as an advisory member, and I see that as a plus because that makes us an inherent partner with Boise State University on this project, which otherwise we would not be.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything? Well, this is the byproduct of having a thorough request and providing as much information as you did. We appreciate it, and it avoids you having to stand here and get grilled for too long. I think given that Commissioner Hurwitz asked the questions that he had and the clarifications, that we can declare the request as received. Staff will take it under advisement, and we will move forward from there to get the opinion issued as required through the steps we'll take. But wanted to thank you again. Anyone else have anything they'd like to say before we wrap this piece up?
Mr. Commissioner, I just had a question for the staff, or maybe a couple of questions for the staff, but nothing further from Ms. Bub.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hurwitz, go ahead.
Thank you. So, Patrick, I think the issue raised in the request fell under the conflict of interest potential. So I think there's a question, do we even see that potential to a degree sufficient to even require further staff action? Am I understanding that correctly, or because it's been a request made, the staff will do its analysis, even if on its face there's arguably nothing there, theoretically, if we conclude that?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Hurwitz, I believe to answer your question, if I understand your question, it sounds like you're wondering if on the face of the request, you determined today that there doesn't appear to be an ethical issue at play.
Yeah, I mean, let me rephrase it. We have to first decide whether we want to take this issue up, which we could decline to do for a variety of reasons.
Correct.
So that's I guess my first question is, should we make that determination now? And in making that determination, do we look at the face of the complaint? Does the staff have a recommendation for us prepared already? And that's sort of step one. And then if I may, step two, or my second question is, appreciate Ms. Bubb's willingness to decline the honorarium or whatever it is, or to have that donated to the city. I think that's a separate question, whether that's even necessary. I mean, I think we could evaluate whether she could accept that in her personal capacity, given this extra work that she's doing. So I guess that's another question is, because she hasn't raised that, is that not before us, or is that something we could have the staff look at as well?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Hurwitz, I think if there's discussion to be had among the commissioners about the merits of the request today, that's appropriate. Staff doesn't have a prepared, draft determination at this time. If that would probably take place at the next regular meeting, that a draft determination based on the commission's discussion and kind of outcomes from today's meeting. But I think it would be appropriate and normal for the commissioners to kind of talk through those issues that you raised based on the request that was submitted and then on the questioning that Ms. Bubb stood for. Does that make sense?
Patrick, if we do want to consider something, because I think there is an argument there's value to be had to considering whether the decision or the advisory opinion would be any different if the stipend or honorarium, the $250 payment was received. Does the request itself need to be modified, or can we direct staff to draft the advisory opinion to include analysis of that issue as well?
Mr. Chair, I think it's appropriate to direct staff to include that if that's what the commission wants to do. Essentially, the role, as I understand it, of an advisory opinion is kind of providing analysis and guidance on application of the ethics code to a real situation. And however the commission wants to do that, staff can make that happen.
Please.
Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate your suggestion for the potential to receive the $250. Part of the questions in the initial discussion with Patrick and with Kayla and the staff is regarding fiduciary duty to the city, and whether I should consider doing this as an individual and not having me as a cultural planner or the city attached to it, or doing this as a cultural planner attached to the city. And obviously I've done a PhD in this area. I'm very passionate about it. So I really would like to do this as an individual. If I did do it as an individual, it's solely out of my passion for this field. However, I don't think that's of the greatest benefit to my employer, who has provided me the opportunities that I have had to do what I do in my profession. And in my fiduciary duty as a city employee, I feel like absolutely cannot accept the $250, because my request would be to do the meetings on city time as a city employee, and that it would be either perceived or an actual conflict of interest to take money additionally to do that service. So my personal preference I also feel like I want the city to be identified as a partner and for me to be able, as a city employee, to bring policy direction back to the city in the capacity of my role. Because I feel like that is what the city has invested in me to do. So my preference would be to do this as a city employee, to forego that $250. And if that was perceived as a conflict, then my question to the Ethics Commission is it appropriate then for me as an individual then to proceed? And I would again not accept the $250 because of the perception of potential conflict. But then the question becomes, how do I wouldn't be in a position to provide policy direction to the city, because then I would just be a member of that. So that's where, as a professional, I find some confusion. I don't know if that helped or made things more confusing.
No, I think the additional explanation is very helpful and kind of provides some better guardrails for our request to staff. It's, you know, first and foremost, we want to address this in a way that satisfies your personal request. The other piece of this is that these get published. They're accessible to other city staff in the future. I think the question regarding taking payment in this particular situation and how it arose is a novel one, to where we could take advantage of this opportunity to have staff analyze it and put the information out there. Even making very clear that you did not specifically request that piece of it, so it won't necessarily be published forever, appearing that way. But I do believe that the sort of, if not A, then B type of consideration that you just requested, if it's not appropriate as a city employee, then is it appropriate as an individual? Can analyze the payment separate from each of those, but I believe that gives us a more complete breadth of the request and a document with more utility that will ultimately be published and accessible to anyone who's fortunate enough in the future to be asked to participate in something like this, like you were. So if you don't have any concerns with that type of approach, I think that I would suggest to the fellow commissioners that my preference would be to request that staff provide us with a draft opinion at the next meeting, in line with the request as we just heard it here. First, is the request appropriate as a city employee in the city capacity? Second, if no, then is it appropriate for her to participate as an individual or for a city employee to participate as an individual? And then as a sub request to each of those, does the payment create any ethics issues under either one? And maybe providing some guidance on what the trigger points for that would be. Because it's obviously not the dollar amount here that's going to be the big thing in question, but that also doesn't mean that it isn't the dollar amount next time. So not necessarily maybe just limited to a black and white payment, but some sort of materiality standard. Any thoughts from anyone else?
Mr. Chair, no, I think that makes sense. I thank Ms. Bob and your supervisor for bringing this before us, because this helps provide sort of meat to the bones of the ethics code. And so that's, I think, the exercise that we'll ask staff to do. And again, I do think there is potentially a question about whether this even rises to the level of, without the money, right, rises to the level of requiring an ethics opinion and our determination. But I think given the purposes that Chairman Howard set forth, that makes sense to proceed as though it does.
May I make one more comment, sir?
Please do.
Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, in addition to what you so eloquently stated, I think for those of us, particularly in the Department of Arts and History, where we are working cross divisionally with departments as well as with partnerships across the city, where our work is very connected to who we are as people, that requests for us to participate in leadership roles is not infrequent and in my mind, intricately connected to our jobs, but also intricately connected to our expertise as professionals, which is why we are in our jobs. And so I do think an ethics commission ruling would be helpful for clarity in terms of the ways that we serve and how we do that and that best serves the city and the residents that we are serving, as well as the partnerships that we're asked to engage with.
That perfectly stated. Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you again for all the detail and the request for taking the walk back up to talk to us once more. Did you have a question?
Yeah, sorry, Ms. Bubba. I just wanted, as a city employee myself, I just appreciate the passion you seem to show and the commitment to like using what you've acquired over your career and your time at the city to, give back in what seems to be the right way and stuff. So I'm just from a fellow city employee, I do appreciate how you've presented your case and stuff here.
Thank you so much. I would not be who I am or be able to do what I do without the city of Boise. So I'm deeply grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. And Patrick, I'm a little rusty here, given that this is 25-02 and we're into 26. It's been a bit since we've done one of these, but we don't need a motion to direct staff to draft the opinion, or do we?
Mr. Chair, I don't think it's necessary to have a motion. I'm not 100% sure. I don't think it is. So what I would like to do, just for purposes of the record, is just confirm what it sounds like the direction is for staff.
Okay.
So that we can go off and complete the request. It sounds like the commission would like an analysis of, first, is the request appropriate in the capacity as a city employee to serve in that official capacity on such a board without there being a violation of a fiduciary duty to the city? Question 2 would be, if not, then is it appropriate for a city employee to participate as an individual on a board such as this? And then 3rd, regardless of which path, some version of an analysis of whether payment of a stipend or honorarium for service on a board in this kind of capacity would trigger any kind of concern or violation of the code of ethics.
Yeah, I think that's correct, and I don't know if it muddies the waters too much, but part of Ms. Bubb's own personal analysis of this issue was the fact that it would be these meetings would be occurring and during times where she would normally be performing her duties as a city employee. I know we get a little bit murky if we've got salaried city employees versus hourly paid city employees, and if it's on the weekends or during weekdays. But to the extent that there is any potential implication based on whether it's on normal on the clock hours or off the clock hours, or if someone would be required to use PTO or something like that if they were going to receive the payment, I think is as much guidance on what would create a potential ethics issue as could possibly be included in this opinion would be helpful.
Mr. Chair, that makes sense. And process-wise, at the next meeting, the commission will have a draft determination prepared by staff to discuss at the next meeting and make any edits as desired or ask for further clarification. And at that time, once that's all ironed out, then the final opinion can be published.
What's the timeline here for Ms. Bubb having to make a commitment or not?
There was not given a timeline, so I'm not here.
Just
Okay.
since there's no microphone back there, Mr. Chair, Ms. Bubb said there's no hard timeline from, is that correct?
So
Okay, and if 3 months is going to be too long to wait until you need an answer, please let staff know and we'll figure out a way to coordinate a meeting to make sure the issue is addressed in advance of that.
There is the possibility, Mr. Chair, for a special meeting if need
Okay.
be.
Okay, thank you. All right, now I think we can officially mark it as received, direction given to staff. Thank you, Patrick. The next items, we don't have any requests for inquiries, no inquiry determinations. So we will move on to special business. Staff has prepared the draft annual report for 2025. We've all had a chance to review that and would like to open the floor if anybody has any questions, comments, suggested changes, or anything in between related to the annual report.
I guess I just want to make the request, Mr. Commissioner, that if we could get it a little bit sooner. And it came in about 10 o'clock this morning and didn't have a whole lot of time to review. So it would be nice maybe a day before, 2 days before to be able to review.
Yeah, that would be, and I think we were fortunate just in that regard to not have had a whole lot of activity last year. But we're off to a screaming start this year so far. So, yeah, and I also don't know if what our required turnaround time is to have this January meeting, but the way the holidays fell this year, it ate up a lot of time for people coming into it. So to the extent that's an issue in the future, maybe we just push the meeting back a week as it relates to the annual report, unless we do have a hard and fast deadline by when that needs to be published.
Mr. Chair and Commissioner Zimmerman, the report is not due pursuant to the procedure for the Ethics Commission until February 15th. It's always kind of tricky because there's a regular meeting here on January 8th and then not again until March. And so if need be, if the commissioners want more time to fully review the draft annual report, it's also possible in the same context as with the request to hold a special meeting closer to that time as well.
Thank you. And I didn't get the impression, but don't want to assume for others that that's necessarily an issue given the volume of what there was to consider in the report. Okay. Any other comments, questions, anything related to the draft annual report? Okay. If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the annual report as drafted.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion, please.
I'll second.
Roll call vote, please.
Howarth,
Aye.
Hurwit,
Aye.
Talk,
Aye.
Zimmerman.
Aye.
All in favor, motion carries.
Thank you. Well, with that, we have reached the end of our agenda. Unless any other commissioners have any other items of business or things you'd like to discuss, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chair, I guess I'm going first today. I move that we adjourn.
I second.
Roll call vote, please.
Howarth,
Aye.
Hurwit,
Aye.
Talk,
Aye.
Zimmerman.
Aye.
All in favor, motion carries.
And we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.